Dear participants, welcome you all for the session 3 of day 1. Session 3 will be on deep learning for medical imaging from Dr. Anand Nair, Duy Tan University, Vietnam. Welcome you all. And I feel very delightful in introduce our resource person. Dr. Dr. Anand Nair holds a doctorate degree from Desh Bhagat University in 2017 in the area of wireless sensor networks and SWAM intelligence. He is currently working in School of Computer Science, Duy Tan University, Da Nang, Vietnam as assistant professor, scientist, vice chairman, and director IoT and Intelligent Systems Lab. Dr. Anand has completed more than 75 professional courses from various institutions, including Cisco, Microsoft, Oracle, Google, Beansett, Exyn, GAQM, Cyber OEM, and many more. He has published more than 125 research papers in various high-quality SAI impact factor journals with over record-breaking 4,000 citations. Dr. Anand is a member of more than 50 plus associations as senior and life member, including IEEE and ACM. He has contributed over 30 plus books in the field of computer science. He is associated with more than 500 plus international conferences as program committee chair, advisory board, review board member. He has 11 Australian patents, 5 Indian patents, 1 Indian copyright to his credit in the area of wireless communications, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, IoT, and image processing. And he has awarded 32 plus awards for teaching and research, Young Scientist, Best Scientist, and Young Researcher Award, Outstanding Researcher Award, Excellence in Teaching, and many more. Currently, he serves as an associate editor for Wireless Networks Springer, Computer Communications Elsewhere, International Journal of Sensor Networks, IGS NET, Indoscience, Frontiers in Computer Science, Peer Computer Science, Human-Centric Computing and Information Sciences, IET Quantum Communications, IET Wireless Sensor Systems, IET Networks, IJDST, IJISP, IJCINI, and IJGC, and much more. He is acting as chief editor of IGI Global, USA journal titled International Journal of Smart Vehicles and Smart Transportation. And he has reviewed more than 1,400 plus articles for various Web of Science index journals. And thank you so much, sir. And we feel very delightful in having you with us, sir. And it's over to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful introduction. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Anand Nair, and I'm working as professor, scientist, vice chairman of research, and director of IoT and Intelligent Systems Lab. So I'm first of all thankful to the management of IFET College of Engineering Autonomous Institution for organizing this webinar. And of course, it's a very national level seminar for recent trends in machine learning for neuroimaging, which is quite an important area. And of course, we at our university are also working a lot in neuroimaging. We are providing solutions to doctors. Even we are exporting our solutions to Taiwan, China, South Korea, Australia. And even my one of the project is also working in the area for healthcare informatics. So today I will be giving you a lecture on this topic only, but with some more practical points. And of course, we will be discussing more towards artificial intelligence, how we have taken this area to medical technology. I know many of you know about AI in healthcare, and of course, many people also work about it. But we don't know the current functional areas that we actually need to diverse ourselves, and we need to research in that area. Before I start, I would like to tell you everybody that my specialization for healthcare is not ordinary. Our specialization in healthcare is the design and development of medical equipments. We have even designed ventilator over here for COVID-19, which is actually implemented in 7 hospitals of Vietnam. Second, we are integrating digital twins and even mixed reality using HoloLens 2, and of course with our own proprietary designed AR app, and we are providing our solutions to dentists. And in the near future, we are also providing some solutions to gynecologists. Third, we are most active in the area for healthcare informatics, especially when we add blockchain in healthcare. And even we have made our own blockchain system, that how we can automate the records of hospitals. And believe me, everybody, I'm saying you openly, today, if you talk of the most important cyber security attack, it is ransomware. And we all know, if you talk of the data, many popular companies like Asus, even Philips, even if you talk of, please mute yourself. So if you talk of some of the UK hospitals, they were even hacked with the ransomware. And right now, if you talk of dark web and black hat hackers, their primary attack area is hospitals. And of course, if they attack the hospitals, the only answer, even I'm a professional ethical hacker, believe me, the answer is pay the money. Because why? We don't have the solution for that. So today, if you talk of the security in cyber, if you talk of security in healthcare, we only add the security via blockchain. So even we have added the security in that. And plus, we are also, me and my students are also working together in some of the projects for chatbots, robotic process automation, and other things. So even I have having lots of Indian patents, Australian patents, even we have filed US patent this year. My all patents and everything is working with IoT, wireless communication, but our primary area that we focus is healthcare. So today I will be there to give you the lecture. So I will divide the lecture into two presentations, first of all, so that we should know how the AI is taking the hype to impact. That is very important for all of you to understand. And after that, I will give you 5 minutes to interact with me if there is any question. And then we come to the practical points towards deep medical image processing, where actually I am working. So I will be taking up the area of this workshop to the next level. And of course, I will be making the presentation more broad so that you should understand and you should take this as a base for performing more advanced research in the future. And believe me, whenever we do review of the papers, whenever we get some papers, we always say that, okay, you get the data set, you put some machine learning algorithms, and yes, blah, 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 this is all done and this is working. No, it is not complete in itself. There's just analysis. So if you really want to work in the area for machine learning in neuroimaging, or whether into any breast cancer prediction, or even if you want to go for eyes or even liver or any other area, try to build up your own model, try to build up your own algorithm, then flowchart. And of course, you need to have your strong system model, and then you should find some images from your own end, like my students do. When we have done our research on breast cancer, we have taken our own images of 7,400 women of their breast cancer images, which were even on begin stage, malignant stage, or even it was uncertain. So after that, we have trained our data set, and now my technology is actually used in Taiwan. And over there, the breast cancer rate detection is coming to about 97.5% in the pre-phase detection, which is again a miracle that we have done. And it's a breakthrough mark that we have achieved. So even if you have any question with regard to research publications in healthcare, I will be most happy, because if you talk of retraction watch, I'm sorry to say everybody, if you talk of retraction watch, even if you talk of the most of the papers that are getting retracted back, they are mostly from healthcare informatics, because it is a very volatile field and you need to have very concrete evidence of your research rather than to give the statement with some primary investigations. Otherwise, you will face retractions in the near future. So make it sure when you perform your research, you must perform with some case study, and you must have a proper data, which is very important, very, very super important, because these days, one important thing is that some people can take data set from any source, maybe from Kaggle or Google dataset search engine, but most of the data set is outdated. And how can you base your model on an outdated data set? So it is my first request to all of you that try to take the data sets that are live, so that you can get more images and you add your own images and you make it like a hybrid data set. And then only you can validate your research results, which is crucially important. Otherwise, in the near future, you can face retractions. So everybody, I will be sharing the screen now so that you can all see. So first of all, I will be giving you the presentation, a very strong presentation in this area, in which we will be discussing about how AI in healthcare is producing an impact from hype to impact. Of course, it is producing. And one more thing, everybody, which I would like to tell you, very important. If you say that only machine learning can work in healthcare informatics, it's okay, you are good. But if you talk that machine learning can give you the results in healthcare, You are absolutely wrong. You are absolutely wrong, I'm saying you. So even if the coordinators can ask me, I would like to even change the topic of the national seminar. Rather than to have machine learning, they should have added AI in neuroimaging so that we can even take ML, deep learning, and even the futuristic federated learning in this area. And of course, the scope for AI is huge in healthcare. At one time, if you talk of, even my sister is a doctor, if you talk of the healthcare, only doctors were there to do the pre-medical analysis. After that, they have to perform some more testing. Then they go for the patient's analysis. Then they take the pre-medical checkups and other things. But today, if you talk of the doctors and hospitals here in Vietnam, especially, we are actually adding artificial intelligence. We are adding augmented reality. And of course, we are adding RPAs and chatbots. And number 4, we are ready for deep learning for real-time implementations. We are ready here because the medical in Vietnam is very advanced. And of course, we have the best doctors here and they are ready to take adoption of AI as soon as possible. So let's understand everybody that how AI in healthcare is taken from hype to impact. And this is my brief introduction, but don't worry. I will be giving you my WhatsApp number, my Instagram, and my details at the end of my lecture. Okay. So everybody, you can see that we have an achievement, we have an excitement, and we have hype and even fear. So if you talk of IBM today, IBM is even having, that is their own cloud, which is very, very important. That is Bluemix. So if you ask me today, everybody, I would like to tell you one important thing. If you say that, okay, I'm doing my research on healthcare informatics and I can do it on Azure or maybe on Amazon EC2 or Elastic Compute 2, you are not taking the full advantage of your clinical data. So if you talk of the research of cloud computing and healthcare, the only answer is that you must take IBM Bluemix Cloud. It is actually made for healthcare in order to have stress of the huge data sets that you need to have. So Google AlphaGo has defeated the human Go master. And of course, self-driving cars are even becoming safe as human drivers. It is all because of their autonomous revolution that is coming with augmented reality, of course, with advanced computer vision algorithms, and bit, of course, deep learning and high-powered data centers. Now, this is important thing for you. AI has defeated human doctors in congest to diagnose tumors, which I've already told you that if you talk of my model of breast cancer, my model of eye cataract, and even my model of COVID-19, the model performs well as compared to the experienced doctors. And even I have got a tremendous good feedback from some doctors in China and Taiwan that, sir, your model is working really good and we are happy to adopt it in the hospital from next year. So maybe in next few years, my models will be used in more than 50 hospitals across the world. So AI promises a new paradigm and will revolutionize everything. This is what we need to make sure. And of course, machine is surpassing human intelligence. And now the first important question, which you are all studying because you are all studying healthcare today and machine learning today. If anybody asks me which is the most impactful area right now that AI will take over the control, the answer is radiologists. And after that, the doctors with regard to gynecologists. And after that, step by step, we will go to surgery. So AI reality check, you can see that 60 to 85% of all big data strategies have failed due to challenges. And of course, I would like to tell you that AI is nothing. It's like a data. And after that, it's all models. It's all your algorithms and flowcharts that they work. So if your data is not good, as many people ask me this question, that, sir, why COVID-19 is still a big problem? Why Omicron virus new variants are there? Still, we don't have the data. And COVID-19 data is actually very, very denormalized. We need to normalize it. And that normalized data is not very enough to make the models. That's why AI is not very successful in COVID-19. And of course, everybody, you can see in healthcare, rapid AI development is happening. Robotic surgeries, smart pills, Internet of Medical Things, process automation, blockchain, everything is deeply incited now. And of course, some heavily invested projects have even failed. And the most important project that has failed is right now the robotic surgeries. And even the 3D printing organs is even getting lots of controversies. But in the near future, we can print those organs in 100% efficiency. And of course, everybody, we can say that AI will give us miracle results, but still we need to wait for next 3 years. Because why? Today, if we talk of AI, we have version 2.0. But if you talk of the real-time healthcare, we need to take it to version 3.0, that is known as explainable artificial intelligence. And that is the answer, everybody, that we need to improve with our capability. Because today, if you talk of machine learning and deep learning, they are just giving you the analysis of the data that, okay, these are the number of epochs. We have taken this type of data set for training, validation, and then it for results. Only data is coming. But what I will do for the data? Data is not complete. The results are not complete. We need more extra neural network, advanced neural networks to make the data to work for us. And that could be only possible with version 3.0 and NLP, which will make the data workable. That is called explainable artificial intelligence. So, of course, these are the most important challenges that we need to overcome. And of course, not only to neuroimaging, but also towards other design and development. The first important thing is that I'm not a doctor, everybody. The first important thing. Now, this is a big problem. That's why doctors are also busy. Doctors don't know technology. We don't know medical science. And that's the reason sometimes we even make mistakes. We need to understand more that what is the exact cause of the disease, what are the symptoms for that disease. And that's the reason, everybody, that science and technology needs to marry each other at a particular point so that we can have proper understanding of the models. And that's a bigger problem. Because even if today I want to make new models for neuroimaging, I need to know more from the doctors of neurologists or neuroimaging people that what is happening so that I can give them the solutions. And of course, implementation strategies are not good. Some people don't want to take risk. Even today we have smart pills, we have RPAs and blockchain, but how many people and how many hospitals are ready for that? It's a big issue. And of course, sometimes incompatibility of data, shortage of trained workforce, and biasness. That, of course, needs to be worked out. So if you ask me that, sir, is AI completely ready for healthcare? Yes, it is ready. But if you ask me that, sir, is AI ready to be implemented for healthcare? I will say not fully done. It is only 55%. 45%, we need to still be more sure that what model that we need to have and how much of data we need to incorporate more so that we can have the solution.
நைட்டு தும்பிட்டு இருந்த அந்த தண்ணியில போய் வந்ததுக்கு ஒழுங்கா குழம்பு மட்டும் ஊத்து.
Excuse me, coordinator sir, excuse me please. Mr. Anand, sir, I think we have discussed on the telephone that nobody will disturb me in between. And why this voice is coming, sir? Please,
I have changed the settings, sir. I have changed the settings, sir. Sorry, sir.
Sir, don't mind. This is not sorry, actually. I'm sorry to say. This is a problem that people don't want to listen, so they can leave from the Zoom meeting. I'm here to deliver some solution and to deliver the research. And this type of disturbance actually from my lecture, please.
Yeah, sure, sure. Take it.
Please take a stringent step that to make sure that people are muted right now.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please, I actually divert from my thoughts and everything, please.
Okay, sir. I will take it, sir.
Please make it understand. Now you see that I'm disturbed and right now I'm again have to come back to my idea again.
Okay, sir.
Please, sir, make it sure of that, please.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure.
Sure. Thank you so much. So the objective of my lecture will be, no doubt, I will be discussing more about neuroimaging after some time. But I will be first of all telling you what exactly is the role of AI in healthcare, so that you should all be prepared that why we need to add into this webinar that why AI is crucial today. Why not we talk of mixed reality? Why not we talk of cloud computing much? But why AI is only becoming the central point of healthcare? Why it is important? Because we need solutions. Believe me, everybody. Now, whether you will laugh at it or whether I'm not here to criticize any doctor, but whenever I meet doctors from India, from China, from Taiwan, and even from Malaysia, Australia, and even from Saudi Arabia, we know that the medical is much, much advanced as compared to India. Much, much advanced. It's a fact. You know what they say me sometimes? Sir, when we treat the patients, we always treat with a very deep heart, and sometimes we have some mental tensions that our treatment should work and the patient should get the results, because every human body is different. Maybe I can get a vaccine. Now you see that some people have got vaccination in my country, in Vietnam, about 10 days back. Out of 10 people, 3 people died. Now, other 7 people have even got some different problems. Even when I got that COVID-19 vaccination, I got some headache and even I got vomiting. But some people in my university didn't get anything. So that's the reason, everybody, that AI needs to understand more potential. We human beings' body are totally volatile, different. We have different reactions. We need to understand, and we need to come to a phase where we should give some results and delivery to the patients in the real time. And of course, how these technologies are useful for healthcare, how it is, what it is, how it is working, and what is its context for proper use. So don't think that only your machine learning is going to work. No, absolutely not. Machine learning is just a tool. But in the real time, if you talk of the doctor that is taking some brain tumor or some breast cancer, we need augmented reality, we need computer vision algorithms, and of course, we need high performance communication and cloud computing. So many converging technologies are required for the doctor to make the decision and adapt the technology to have like a complementary force with him to treat the patients. That's important. So you all know Apple Watch, and even I use Apple Watch. And we all know whenever the Steve Jobs come outside and Tim Cook come outside and they demonstrate new Apple Watches, they only work with sensors. They only say that, okay, this Apple Watch has saved this much of lives. We have already got incompatible heart rhythms and other things, how the patient's lives are saved. So again, we need to see that these things play a crucial role for the healthcare. The only thing is that body is made up of signals, and even our body is actually transmitting some data. Even we are transmitting the data. That is the only thing that we need to have the control via sensors, and we need to analyze that data. So even our body organs are even acting like a big data. So now after that, we will also discuss about some insights of clinical practices and next generation power, AI power EHR, which is a good area to do the research. So AI, what is AI, everybody? Now, this is the question which many people give me the answer that, okay, we need a learning system, we make the machines intelligent and other things. But actually, according to me, even I'm a computer scientist, even we have made some definitions for AI. Now, let me give you my definition. AI means that we are not making the learning system, but we are making the system to adapt, to collaborate, and of course, to make and improve the decisions with passage of time, but everything can be possible with correct data. So AI and intelligence cannot work with correct data. Suppose if I'm getting knowledge from a wrong person and that person is not giving me full knowledge, how can I become a skilled person? So similarly, it is computer. If your data is incorrect, if your adaptability is incorrect, your algorithms are incorrect, how can you stimulate an intelligence with the machine? So that's the reason, everybody, that if we need to surpass the human intelligence with machine intelligence or machine intelligence with human intelligence, the basis is data, compatibility, adaptability, and of course, with lots of learning algorithms that need to adapt with the machines so that we can be able to pass the Turing test. And that's the reason, everybody, AI only stands with the Turing test, but in the near future, AIs will stand past towards neural networks based examination and adoption. That is what we need to change with the definitions of AI. So AI subfields are tremendous. If you talk of your Google search, smartphones, interactive voice response systems, healthcare, image recognition, if you talk of your robotics, cobotics, Industry 4.0, everything is based on AI. And AI is actually making up things to work together with plethora of converging technologies that will actually make use of AI for healthcare. Google, even its camera is becoming AI. And even I can say Pixel 6 is one of the best phones that has a camera. And that camera is soon going to have some capabilities that if you point your camera to some of your disease like skin cancer or other things, the camera will give you the answer that, okay, it is in the beginning stage, but you must go to the doctor immediately. So what I believe is that in the near future, with advanced algorithms and advanced data centers and more ML models, we can make our phone camera to have the pre-detection for any disease. Even if I fall down, even if there is a problem with any body parts or swelling, we must have the solution for that. And that's what I see with advanced computer vision and algorithms. So AI, everybody, if you talk of healthcare, now I would like to give you one answer. You should not talk of the word AI. You should talk of the word augmented intelligence. Yes, actually the word is augmented intelligence, in which we need to unlock the power of human beings and big data. Of course, we need to coordinate the communication. We need to have better decision making and efficiency. Only then I can say that I will depend on robotics and of course, deep learning algorithms. So basically, augmented intelligence is basically will be derived from AI by using some tools and can act as a partner. So don't think, everybody, I would like to give an answer to you. Don't think that machines will become the doctors, full-fledged hospitals one day. No. Don't think that machines will take over the jobs. No. Machines will be our partner. Complex works, complex computational works will be done by machines, and the beginning works and of course some basic task of analysis and other things can be done with human beings. So in terms of industry 4.0, whenever I give lecture on industry 4.0, I always tell my students and even the people that are listening to me, don't think that machines will take over the jobs. Don't think that machines will only run the factories. You will be there, you will be making the machines, you will be just supervising them. But the only thing is that the complex works and the repetitive task where we make the problems, machines will not make the problems. Production will be 24/7, but the production will also come into precision. But the other works will be done by us. So human beings and machine partnership is required in healthcare. This is the most important for you. Now see this, everybody, the results will be improving effectiveness. We need quality. We need results. We are actually, human beings are actually highly impatient people. With today, if you have a viral, if you are sneezing or coughing, you need one medicine and the cough should go like anything. We need efficiency. Of course, it can be done. We need safety. Of course, we need the access to care. But the main thing is, if you want to have that, you need the machine that is AI powered automation. Now, these are the areas that you can do your research. And of course, you can perform research publications and you can think of making your new models, theories, strategies, everything. Medical robotics, ML, NLP, everything. Today, even if more than 3 hospitals in Vietnam are working with me, we are working on their blockchain area. We are working on their design of deep learning algorithms for some data sets and other things. I will not declare much about it because it is confidential. And the third that we are working day and night is that we don't require anything on help desk. We want to remove the receptionist with a automated robot, and of course with chatbots and RPAs. That is my dream, that at least we should remove the receptionist or the form-based things in the hospital at the primary level. So these are the 10 promising applications that you can see, and this will have the huge value by 2026. And of course, with the COVID-19, we all know that healthcare industry has gone a big boom. And of course, we have pharmacy industry, we have other industries that are actually working a lot in this area now. So robotic assisted surgery, virtual assistants, that is the basic area that we are working. And of course, with EHRs and cybersecurity, blockchain implementations, we are working a lot on this area. And of course, everybody, I'm a man of IoT and sensors. We like to deliver solutions using Internet of Medical Things. So for that, we are making some apps for phones, and even I'm making one app for Apple Watch. So what is my app? I would like to tell you. So you have an Apple Watch and you have an Apple Health app. It's okay. But suppose I am at my gym and I did a workout, maybe like a cardio exercise. And after that, I did running. After that, I did boxing and then cycling. So I would like to know that on which exercise I burnt most of the calories. So that if I want to lose the weight and I want to balance my body pressure and other things, what my Apple Watch is going to tell me. And after that, with prediction analysis, I can give some predictions that, okay, in this week, you must try to balance this type of diet and even your exercise. So with your one-day exercise and your body weights and other things, that app will give you the recommendation that what kind of exercises you can do. And that's a very good area and project that we are doing right now. So in terms of technologies, everybody, you can see medical robotics, machine learning. I will be discussing more about it. NLP and AI assisted voice technology. Very good area to do the research. And even we have designed our robotic. We have even designed our robot, but that is right now for airports. But now I have a dream. We are actually taking some security and safety precautions. And my dream is that we must apply one robot at least next year, in next coming 2 years in Vietnam. That is where we are doing our research over here. So machine learning, everybody, the core part of this area. So what is machine learning? Basically giving the ability of the computers to learn, computers to adapt. Like suppose your vacuum cleaner, he comes to your home, and of course with a powerful camera of 8 or 10 megapixel, and with computer vision algorithms, and of course they have the ability to learn and map your home. And once they map the home, they keep on learning and they keep on doing the exercise to keep the homes clean. So basically we are not programming the vacuum cleaner again, we are actually giving the learning system to ability to learn, ability to adapt, work in complex environments, work in changing situations, and of course the machine will become efficient with more and more input. So machine learning algorithms, you can see this is supervised learning, where we give the input, one data set, we know the outcomes which are labeled, and of course we look for the patterns to make the things as per predictions. So what is machine learning? Input and output is already given. We need to improve the algorithms so that once the input becomes more and more, and even some uncertain input, we can get some good defined output. And of course, we have unsupervised learning, semi-supervised learning. But if you talk of healthcare, we are mostly working on reinforcement learning and unsupervised learning. That's the primary area because the things are uncertain and we need to be sure about the results. So this is one of the example of machine learning that you can see, and even you can apply this example in neuro images also, which I will be showing you in 10-15 minutes. So this is the image that you can take of a cat. And of course, at the layer 1, we have the pixel values detection. Layer 2, we have the edge identification. Layer 3, we have the combination of edges. Layer 4, feature extraction and feature identification. And we have the output called dog. So now you can say that we can just map the images with these type of neural networks. But of course, more number of images, better will be the results. So that's the reason, everybody, machine learning is nothing. It is just training the machine with more and more books and everything. You are just putting up the intelligence. Whenever you are born, you just start with learning A, B, C, D. Then we learn A for apple, B for ball, C for cat. And then we start making words. Then we start learning new words. And then we start making sentences, then paragraphs, then stories, then understand, which means we are actually learning step by step. So this is the same stage that we need to learn. We need to make the machine intelligence with more and more input of correct data. So in terms of classification, the most important area that you can do your research is clinical decision support system, where our research is mostly towards CT scan, X-rays, and MRI. So even in our COVID-19 research, we are also taking the data-driven models and data sets, and we are basing our research based on symptoms. And that's what we do here. Even we use fuzzy rules also. Sometimes we also use machine learning, and then we find the outcomes at what we can do and how we can have the human factors and determinants for the patients. So this is, you can take the example of disease also. There the image of a breast. And you can say the image is broken into pixels, same identifications and feature classifications. And we can have the answers that whether the woman is on the beginning stage, on the malignant stage, or whether it is uncertain stage. So for the uncertain, we are again adding more reinforcement models. We are again using SVM and random forest so that we can have more better results. And that's why we need to make our models better and better with accuracy and classification approach. So this is one of the area that you can see how we need the deep neural network to read fundus images, how we can do that. And of course, in that we are taking the model with 880,000 diagnosis diseases. And even the Google AI Healthcare is also producing very good results. But I would like to request you that please work on IBM Bluemix also. It's a very good area there. You can perform the research in a very easy manner. So this is one of the area that we have already worked and discussed. Even we have published some of the good papers in COVID-19, lung cancer, and other things. So you can see right now, we have taken the identification for chest rays. And here we have the model that is called large data set of chest expert. And of course, with that, we are able to make the model and we are able to detect different types of diseases. So in the near future, everybody, what my research is that how we can add in the data set different types of problems in lung cancer. And let's see that how much quick is the data set to perform X-rays based analysis in less than, I can say, 3 to 7 seconds. So everything will be worked on cloud. and model will be about, you can say, 97.6% accurate. So the predictive analysis is very good area. And of course, with EHR, you will be able to detect the patient's survival rate, health conditions, and age. Even me and my friend is doing one research. I will not tell the name of my friend. He is in industry. So what we want to do, we can take the blood and the blood parameters, and we also take the glucose level, sugar level, everything in that. And we want to predict that if the glucose level and hemoglobin level and everything parameters are good right now, and my age is 37 and it is giving good readings, what is the life expectancy of mine? That at which age I can live? No doubt, everybody, even I can die tomorrow if I met with an accident. But as per medical numbers, what will be my age as per my efficiency of health? So if you say that my health efficiency can even raise up to 75 years or 80 years, I can predict the model and I can predict your age, that if you have this type of eating habits and you do like this, you will live more. And if you do like more of junk food and other things, this problems are there and your age expectancy is coming down. So this is again a very good area to do the research, where we are doing, and we are on this near to produce the models, and then we are going for the research paper. So this is the clustering, everybody, that you can see unsupervised learning, where we cluster it. And right now, if you talk of the clustering, we are working on more areas for liver, where we have lots of unexpected data. We all know liver is a very volatile area to do the research. So right now for liver problems, we are using clustering. So this is one of the area that we have also worked. That is the face detection, even the semantic analysis, pattern identification in recognition. Even I'm submitting 2 papers more in pattern recognition letters, maybe day after tomorrow. That is also adding up towards COVID-19 and human psychology. So this is the area that we do. And with our research for more than 8,13,000 images, we have got our correct results of about 94.6%. So in terms of genomics, everybody, which is actually very volatile area, pattern recognition can play a very good role. And even if you talk of other areas, I'm doing my lots of research in blood groups, even in hemoglobin, glucose levels, and other body vitals, that we can have some better pattern recognition and we can understand the genomics as soon as possible. So beyond diagnostics, everybody, you can see that in terms of clinical trial, this is a good area, but still we are not very accurate. I can say that even we have started our research about 4 months back, that what could be the problem if you are getting some like a cataract problem and other things, what kind of drugs can be there, but still the results were okay, but we were not happy with the research outcomes. So if you talk of the real-time clinical trials and clinical research, machine learning is also playing a good role, that if there is a responder to this type of area, what could be the drug B or drug C? Like suppose if you even if we have done our research and we have given the software model to the hospital nearby 2 months back, in that we just doctor has to take the body vitals, and after that the machine will tell us that how much type of anesthesia or how much quantity of anesthesia, or whether it should be foreign or it should be local anesthesia to the patient before operating on that patient on different aspects. And of course, believe me, in 2 months we have only got almost 80% good feedback from the doctors that sir, model is working nice, but still we want to add more data and we want to improve our research. So NLP I'm not working, but I will still say that NLP deals with computational algorithms. And of course, we need to represent the human language. And in that area, we are only working in the area for chatbots. So this you can see in terms of statistical NLP, where you can perform the work in terms of text to speech, text to speech to text, machine translation. But if you talk of healthcare, we are actually feeding up a model and we can talk with that machine like a robot. And robot can ask that what is your age, what is your blood group and other things. And rather than to fill the form, we can have the automatic processing for the data set, so that we can have the quick meeting of the patient and doctor rather than to fill the forms like Munna Bhai MBBS. So deep learning based NLPs, that you can see the documents. And of course, we have using Word2Vec, Doc2Vec and GLOF. And we are adding hidden layers with neural networks, and we can get the output in terms of sentiment classification, entity extraction, topic modeling, lots of things. So this is one of the area that I'm doing my research in terms of Coglex semantic search technology. You can see that the disease entity, symptom entity, everything. And with that machine learning on big data, we can extract the relationships with regard to symptoms, test, drugs, and dietary plans. So believe me, everybody, if a patient goes inside to the doctor and he says that, okay, I have a back pain, I have a tough problem and other things. So doctor can put up those symptoms, and depending on the machine will suggest you that what kind of test we need to perform and what could be the possible prediction of the disease. So even if you sneeze, it could be ordinary sneezing, it could be a viral, it could be COVID-19, anything can be possible. So that's complexity that we need to undergo, and we need to break up the results in an efficient manner. So if you're doing your research on medical technology or healthcare informatics, very few people know that we should not do our research on Google. Google is a tool. Okay, so you can use this search engine, Senso Medical Search Engine. This is a search engine that is actually performing lots of good results, and it will give you the data sets, it will give you the images, latest information, news for any disease in the world. So this is one of the search engine that you must use in terms of healthcare informatics research. So these are some of the NLP applications that you can see. And of course, there is a lots of research that we are doing. But right now, everybody, we are only doing our research on IBM Bluemix, Watson, chatbots, and Clamp. That is the main area that we do. But I do less work on NLP, but we do more work on deep learning and AR and VR and cloud computing, and that is your robotic process automation. So this is one of the area that why I'm doing it, because if you talk of the best AI and machine learning, then IBM Watson and IBM Bluemix, these are the best areas that can perform in terms of healthcare informatics. It is not having any, it is having the most advanced features that you need to perform with your research. So if your institution can afford this type of research, and you can afford the money from IBM, you can have collaboration. I have good connections with IBM, and whenever I stuck, I always get a technical support in 18 to 35 minutes. And if you are interested to work with me on IBM Watson and of course with IBM Bluemix, I can support you and I can connect with you to good professionals in IBM, of course in India, of course in USA, but my connections are mostly from Singapore, so you can coordinate and collaborate with them. So this is one of the AI voice technology that you can see. And of course, the most important platform in open source is Mycroft. Right now, if you talk of the best voice-based platform that we use Samsung Bixby, and after that we have Alexa. So these are the AI assistants, everybody, and even NeukaCam and Orbita Voice, they are picking up. Very good area to perform the research in neuroimaging, of course, in terms of electronic healthcare records, patient diagnosis, prognosis, everything is possible. So this is the EHR, everybody. And for the electronic healthcare records, which I've already told you at the start, where I'm working. So even as an ethical hacker, the most important part is that if I steal the data of a hospital, I can get thousands of dollars in easy manner because it's a sensitive data. UK hospitals, American hospitals, Malaysian hospitals, Russian hospitals, and even from hospitals of Australia and Thailand, they are already hacked. Because if we talk of security, everybody, hospitals security in terms of network communications is not very strong. As a hacker, I'm giving you a very good statement. This is a statement, and this is a actual fact. So these days, my research is to add blockchain-based EHR systems with Hyperledger Fabric, and even we are using some hospitals can even adopt Bitcoins, and even they can adopt like a multi-blockchain connectivity, so that if you have insurance there and you have the electronic healthcare records, you can collaborate and you can pay the claims. So blockchain is one of the good areas that you can dealt with tons of challenges that you can perform. So these are the benefits of machine learning in healthcare. So basically we can solve complex problems in real world, but the only thing is you need to have proper data driven, evidence driven, and of course you need to have intelligence, clinical intelligence for that. Otherwise, if your data is not accurate, get ready, the answer is not accurate. So these are the key requirements, everybody. Understand the AI technology, specify its proper use. We need to develop the proper AI strategy. And of course, we need to have the performance metrics in terms of evaluation, performance, error reduction, accuracy, everything. Believe me, everybody, if you see my papers on Google Scholar, all the research in healthcare is having the accuracy of more than 93%. Because unless I'm not achieving 93%, I can say that my research is not very reliable. Of course, 86% is a very good percent, but try to improve it to 90% so that you can train the model. And of course, the number of validation sets and your testing set should be like 80 to 20% ratio. Only then the model is working correctly. So these are some of the examples, and these are the platforms that you can use, everybody. But the most important is IBM Watson that we use. And these are the functionalities that you can depend. So thank you so much for part A session. And now the house is open for next 5 minutes for all of you before I start with my next presentation. That will be this one. So this will be my presentation number 1, everybody. And after 5 minutes, I will start my practical points of deep learning for medical imaging so that you can more understand neuroimaging and what my research is doing up. So the house is open. Any questions, you are most welcome for that. Thank you so much for your feedback. If there is any question, I would be more happy to take your questions. Any question with regard to AI, healthcare, or even if I would like to tell you that even I'm the board of studies member for VIT, BTech Healthcare Informatics. We have designed the curriculum for them. Even day before yesterday, I was giving the lecture for electronic healthcare records. Okay. So I've already given you the name, Sesmo. So even if you want to do your research on medical technology, don't use Google search engine. We have Science. Okay. Yes, of course, if you have a question in cybersecurity, I will surely take the question because I'm also an ethical hacker. So I'm expert into cybersecurity. So you are most welcome. Please go ahead. Any question? Of course. Yes, in which site you can take the data set for research. So I would like to tell you that you can take Kaggle, and of course you can take some universities libraries, which are over there like Stanford, Cornell, and even MIT have their libraries. And the third could be Google Dataset Search Engine, which is also a very good area to perform your dataset based search. But the most important part is don't take the dataset which is actually closed. Take your datasets which are live, which are actually adding up your data, like COVID-19 datasets are also available. Okay, which are even live, like with Cornell University, their data set is also live. Johns Hopkins University, their data set is live. So these type of things. Okay. Yes, please ask the question so that we should use our next 3 minutes. And after that, we can do for that. Okay, myself, malware researcher regarding ransomware attack. Do you have any ideas or tips? The only tip for prevention is that first of all, don't go to any unknown website. Second, if you talk of your Facebook groups where anything comes to over there that, okay, click on this software, we will give you this money or other things, don't go to that. And the third thing is, most important, if ransomware comes to you, pay the money. If the data is not important for you, pay the money. Otherwise, we don't have any solution. But yes, if there is any solution for that, you can install your McAfee Total Protection. Of course, I will be coming up on the questions. So you can install McAfee Total Protection, and that is the best software that you can use, but keep it updated. Okay. So in which sites NLP can be used? NLP can be used, that is for your, even your Google search is also using NLP. Even if you go to like websites like Springer Journal Finder, Elsevier Journal Finder, where you can use some chat bots, where you can interact with you can say some websites and they can find some data for you. Online gaming also has NLP also. Okay. From where we can find more about deep learning, any best resource. So deep learning is different things. Deep learning are having many different things, but I would like to tell you some websites where you can find something. If you are interested to download any good ebook on deep learning or resources, just go to pdfdrive.com. Okay, so this is the best learning resource that you can have, and you can download almost any book in the world. Now, the second thing which I would like to tell you that if you are on YouTube, if you can use YouTube, you can use YouTube for subscribing to these two important channels, which are very important. One is called Eureka. Subscribe this, everybody, which is very important. And of course, it is having lots of tools and videos for learning C, ethical hacking, Python, healthcare informatics, everything. And the second is called Great Learning. So Great Learning is also a very good channel where you can learn Python, healthcare informatics, and other things. Okay. Now, another thing which I would like to tell you that if you can download, but no doubt it is a torrent. So you just go to this one, just search Kickass and just search Kickass on Google. Now go to this website called kickasstorrents.to. Now see what I'm going to do. Just click on this website. Now after that, go to this browse. No doubt pop-ups will be there. Go to browse. Just a hold, please. So go to browse everybody and click on other. So now over there, you can see that there are lots of video tutorials. So if I click over here and if I search deep learning, now see this, what will happen? Now see this, everybody, you can find a deep learning with Python, introduction, Python deep learning. You can even go for Revolution and other, you can see on AI, on healthcare informatics, everything can be available for all of you. So this is the best website where you can download the tutorials and you can have everything at your hands, even movies, games, anything. So this is the most area. You can see over here, deep learning illustrated, a visual interactive guide to artificial intelligence. So you can learn more and more about it. You can even go from coding to deep learning, machine learning to deep learning. You can have tons of tutorials. You can have tons of tutorials that you can download free of cost. The best learning experience that you can have. Best of the best, the class. Okay. Other thing. Yes, XGBoost is good algorithm for disease protection, depends on the data set and of course depends on the area that you are researching. I will not say that XGBoost is good or a unit is bad, other things are bad. It depends on the research. You have to test, because doctors do like this, trial and do and keep on testing. Same is with machine learning, try and test, try, test. That's the answer. I will not give you any statement for which data set is okay, which algorithm is okay. Depend on you. Go for research, go for trials, go for testing, go for validation, go for retesting. That's the answer. That's a particular answer. Yes, Mr. Ola Gunju, I have a question on secure IOMT. Of course, please go ahead. I'm having my lab of IoT and intelligent systems only. We work on IOMT. So please go ahead. Put your question. Everybody, please be hurry so that I should start my next lecture as soon as possible. So can we use multitask learning in healthcare? Of course you can do, but in the multitask learning, the most important part is that you have to make lots of assumptions. And we all know if you make assumptions more, what will be the quality of clinical trials and data centric models? So the answer comes in front of you. Yes, please ask the question about secure IOMT. I'm interested to have the question. If anybody wants to interact, they can even unmute themselves for 1 minute now. For relation extraction, what can I use? Of course, in terms of relation extraction, you have to first of all make the proper cluster. But for that, you can even use a random boost, or even you can use a supervised support vector machine. That can be possible. Okay, I was looking for ransomware detection using ML, not stopping with ransomware, about generic malware detection. I'm sorry, I cannot able to question. I'm not able to understand your question. Please give me some proper language so that I can understand. 1 minute more, everybody. Okay. Which algorithm can you recommend to give the best test secure for IOMT as of now? So I cannot recommend you any algorithm right now, because for security in IOMT, we are only using elliptic curve cryptography, ECC. We are only over there. And secondly, if you ask me, okay, I can give you. So algorithm, if you want to test for IOMT, we are using ECC. That is the only thing that we are testing for IoT also. And second, you can use RSA. ECC and RSA are the best one. You got the answer? Yes or no? Yeah. Detecting ransomware using ML, do you have any tips? Sorry, just take the ransomware. We can't go for any defined solution. We cannot. We don't have. Okay, these were your questions, everybody. So we take a break for 2 minutes, then we restart. Thank you. I will be giving you my my contact details after the end of the session. So ransomware, we are working, we have some publications, but we have no solution. The only solution is keep yourself protected. Don't go to unknown groups. Don't download anything from internet which is suspicious. Keep your McAfee total protection always on. And that's the only answer that I can perform. Yeah, even if you work for the next 10 years, there will be no solution for that. Unless or until you have that is called your deep learning based ML technique, and you are using like a hardware based honeynet systems that are having deep learning capabilities. Only then you can have some solution, but still, if there is an exploit, if there is a backdoor, ransomware can be put up easily. The only thing is you find the exploit, you put the ransomware, and rest assured they will come to you and they will ask you for the money. You can extort them. That's called cyber hoodism, and that can be possible for that. Okay, enough of the ransomware. Anybody on healthcare, if there is any one question I would like to take, then we can start with this presentation. You will all love it, which I would like to discuss with all of you, where we are doing practical research in here. Do you want to see my invention, everybody? Are you interested, yes or no? Can I show you something? Are you interested to see? Coordinator sir, excuse me. Excuse me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, can I show them one invention which we have done 15 days back? Can I show them?
Sure, sir. Please, sir. Sure.
Everyone, you will be stunned to know it's a major breakthrough that we have done. Can you see this device right now in my hand? It's a device. Everybody can say that it is a device, but what if I tell you that it's a wearable IUMT device? It's like a watch. Okay. If you put this sensor, this device consists of more than 5 sensors: ECG, temperature, and even 3 more sensors that are secret because we are doing our patent soon. You just put this device on the patient, on the if he's on the medical thing. Can you see my camera, please? See my camera, please. See my camera. I'm on camera right now. I'm showing the device right now. So this device you can charge. You can charge this device in 5 minutes, and this device can work for more than 4 months of monitoring. This is a practical IUMT device. It has 5 sensors. And of course, everybody, you will be stunned to know that it is connected to Hyperledger Fabric, which means all the data that is coming from the patient to the hospital, to the remote data centers, it will be fully protected with 256-bit SHA-1 algorithm. That's the answer. So this is my device that we have invented 15 days back. And plus we are even making up a drone with the COVID-19 capabilities with X-ray modulation in live manner. So we are doing our research like this. It's a practical research. Let me show you something, everybody. See the screen right now? Can you see the screen? So everybody, what I'm going to show you, you will be stunned to know. I have actually, okay. Can you see the screen now, everybody? Can you see the screen? Okay, good. So this is the ECG sensor, everybody, that has been given to me by a Chinese company. But what we have done, we have added this device that you can see that is having inbuilt artificial intelligence. So no need to program this sensor. You just have to put the sensor here, and just you have to connect this device with a power bank. And after that, this sensor will be start emitting your ECG and your heartbeat live to the cloud and even to your mobile app. This is my own invention that we have done. We have improved it like anything. This is the ECG sensor, just plug and play. This is the most advanced sensor. Accuracy that we have made is 91.4%. So that is the area that we are working. Even we have made our own IUMT device, but right now it is under testing with some hospital. That's the reason. But I would like to show you some more things. Please just wait for IUMT because today it's on neuroimaging, but let me show you something. Just wait. Okay, so let me share the screen again. Okay. So everybody, I would like to show something to you, which is super important, where you can see my research right now. So everybody, you can see that this is the first area, the first, you can say the BioSen Health sensor that we have made. It is so efficient that it can detect your heartbeat. It can even detect your temperature. It can be even calibrated with more sensors. It is like a plug and play, and it is costing less than $120. And even we have made our own ventilator. And of course, these are my publications, but I would like to show you one important thing more, which is super important for you, because today I'm not giving IUMT, so that's your bad luck. So let me show you something. If I have in this presentation, otherwise I can give you some other lecture. Okay, no problem. Okay, right now I don't have, so I can show you this thing. Okay. Okay, maybe next time. Okay, so this is the area that we are working. So we are calibrating our sensors, live sensors, and we have even designed our own IUMT device. It is just like a plug and play device that you can see on the screen right now. And plus we have a dream that to add more technology towards blockchain and in healthcare. Okay. Now, everybody, I would like to start with my last presentation. After that, you will be welcome for more questions. And believe me, this presentation is going to change your life now, because I have tried to, because this presentation has took me about 20 days to make the presentation of the latest things. And your institution will be the first institution to see that how we can have the practical points, that how we can add deep learning for medical imaging. So forget machine learning now. Actually, the title of the seminar should have been, which I've already told you, should be AI in neuroimaging. But machine learning, we don't work now. We work with deep learning. That's the reason we are actually adding up more on deep learning now. So everybody, let's get started now. So medical imaging, what is it? Everybody, you can say that even if you do your X-ray, even if you do your, you can say laparoscopy, even if you talk of your ECGs, anything, even if you talk of your brain, you can say brain MRIs and other things, these are all medical images. So we have to understand those medical images as a data set. So even if you see in the background, I have tons of brain X-rays, and these X-rays can even be act as an image, powerful data set, in order to acquire some more extraction and, of course, you can say decision support system for clinical trials. So everybody, now we will talk of the most important area, how AI and its applications are playing a crucial role for medical imaging, how they are playing. And of course, we need to understand that. So what is AI? Again, I would like to tell you, the only thing is that we make the humans to understand human intelligence. We humans are intelligent. We want the machines. We want the machines to become like humans. We want machines to make the work of doctor, engineer, scientist. We want to add human intelligence. Even our brain is also having an algorithm which can only function up to 7 to 10% maximum. Our human beings cannot function more than 10% of the brain, but still we can unlock it. Still we can unlock it. Scientists are working, everybody. Now, let me tell you, these are the two areas which you should know, but it's a confidential research. But I'm happy to inform you that I'm having my one or two friends that are working in that team. But I'm sorry, I cannot tell you which university is working with that. It's a secret research. Suppose ants, they go for hibernation. You can see the ants only in summer. They sleep in winter. And even if you are sleeping at night, you are actually losing your body, everything. You are actually dreaming. You are actually in a state where you are using your muscles. And of course, you are actually aging your health. So right now, the scientists are working that if suppose we make the person to hibernate during the night, that his body becomes dead and his neural network becomes stable like that, what we can do? You know what will happen? An average human can live up to 243 years. It's like immortality. And second thing is, That if I'm 37 today, I have this hair and everything. I can do gym. I can lift up to 25 kgs of weight. How can I make my neural network hack and I can become the same age till I'm 100 years of age? How can I be forever young? This can be even possible. And these are the two most important researches that are happening. And this will happen in next 10 years. And of course, the answer, everybody, I'm saying you, the answer is hidden in the neural networks and AI. Believe me, as a scientist, I'm saying you the answer is hidden. We have the answer in front of us, but we don't know what methodologies and algorithms we need to improve that. So we have to go for more clinical trials. So the most important thing is everybody, this is the brain. Okay, now see this. We have a knowledge-based approach. Doctors use knowledge. That's why he says that I'm an expert doctor. I'm a heart surgeon. I have good experience. I have knowledge. But now we need to convert that approach to data-driven. That's the reason in computer science, we have all these subjects that are connected to healthcare, AI, machine learning, big data, everything. And that's what we need to understand, that we need to do the reverse engineering of the brain. You know, everybody. Now, this is a fact. My sister is a doctor. My good friends are even doctors. They say me today even that even in 2022, the less research that we have seen, the less exploration that we have seen is the brain. And still they are even not sure that whether your MRIs or even the brain mapping is even accurate. They are even not sure. So we need to reverse engineer the brain algorithms. Even our brain is also having an algorithm. We need to crack that. So from AI to deep learning, you can see we started from AI, and of course we gone to machine learning, deep learning. Now we have mixed learning. After that, we can even have that is called federated learning. Of course, in the near future, we will have AI 3.0 that is already started. If you are interested to work with me on explainable AI, I have good connections in journals, good connections in books, Elsevier or other thing. You are most welcome. Even I'm doing an edited book. I will give you the details at the end. You can send your chapter, I will consider. So right now, what we are doing about futuristic research, we are working on two areas. One is a digital twin and second is explainable AI. That is the most important area to do research on healthcare right now. So you can see the brief history. We started from Turing test in 1950 with Alan Turing. And after that, we have gone to Siri. And now we are now with generation 3.0, which has started with explainable AI, which was actually discovered by Google. So if you ask me which company is producing lots of standards in AI, that is Google only. So this is a brief history of neural networks that you can see in front of you, everybody. So you can see that we started from electronic brain and we have gone to perceptron, then we have come to CNN, but now today CNN is not used much. So it is my request not to publish much papers in CNN. And now we have deep neural network. But in the near future, we will have an, you can say, explainable AI with a high-end advanced neural network. So machine learning, which we have already discussed, I will not discuss it more. You can see it. And this is the answer, everybody, that in terms of speech recognition, we are actually moving ahead in terms of major breakthroughs. The main thing is that the machines are learning better. Machines are becoming better in recognition, intelligence, speech to text processing, RPAs, everything. And this is the AlphaGo, everybody, the live example in front of you, where machines are beating the humans in considerable impossible. Ladies and gentlemen, you will be stunned to know, I play chess and even my friends play chess. One day, what we have done, we just hacked two, because in my office, I have Google also, Google Home, and even we have Alexa also. So what we have done, we have just made Alexa and Google to play with each other. Chess, which means two AI brains were playing the chess. Results were extraordinary. You know, even my expert friend who has won the national level championship, he told me that maybe he would have been defeated in 7 moves from Alexa. And Alexa and Google played together and the match was only for 14 minutes and 23 seconds. And you know who won? Google. And even Google and even Alexa said that Google is better than my intelligence. So now the question is, Google is trained with so many moves. Alexa is trained with so many moves, but still Alexa plays well, but still Alexa needs to improve with more perceptions and more data sets. That's the big thing that we do, that we make us excited, that how machines can play each other and where we need to improve. Now imagine if I improve Alexa with more data sets of Google, who's going to win? Maybe it will be the first match where there will be no results, with two machines playing each other. So this is, again, you can see machines with TPU servers, and again that is called TPU, stands for Tensor Processing Unit. And now please note it down, everybody, please take your pen and paper. So I'm going to tell you, if you want to learn technologies for healthcare, what you need to learn. The first thing is, don't go straightly to Python. No, learn Java. Second, Python. Then go for NumPy, SciPy, Matplotlib. You need to understand more towards OpenCV. OpenCV is very important. People avoid it, but very important. And last but not the least, you need to understand TensorFlow. Because without TensorFlow, you cannot do work in terms of intelligence, and you cannot train your machines to perform better. And you need to learn more programming of tensors. If anybody wants to learn TensorFlow, I have some confidential material with me. You can mail me. I will give you that books, because some of my friends are with Google. They give me materials and I can share with you. So this is the main thing, everybody. And this is Libratus. And of course, with DeepStack, we are actually improving the action history, and we are making more divisions and how the machine learning is improving. So this is what we can say, everybody. Where my question was there, that some people were asking me that how we can classify the sampling data. But I have not answered that question, because I would like to tell you in this aspect. You can see that we human beings learn with massive data. Even your brain also works with CNN, even RCNN also. So these are the simple functions. We have nucleus, we have neurons, and we have axons. But in the near future, we will have the multi-layered. That's why, everybody, you can see that the Intel chips are now becoming 7 nanometers. But if they become like 5 nanometers, we will have that chip that can has the unlock capability for the brains. So this is CNN, everybody, where we have what we see and what computers see. That is in terms of binary formations. This is the best thing that I can do. Convolution means that we have the lots of pooling, and pooling becomes fully connected, and we have the output predictions. Now you can see that it is saying us dog is 0.01, cat is 0.04. Again, the machine is not sure. But the main thing is, this is a data. But with explainable AI, we can say that this is a dog because it has 2 horns, it has 2 eyes, it cannot fly, and we can classify that it is a dog. We need extra, we need add-on things. So I think no need to discuss more about CNN. You all know about it. We have the convolution layer, which is performing local connectivity and parameter sharing. We have the pooling layer to perform the pools. Pools means to take the responses at different locations so that robustness can be maintained. And we have the non-linearity, where we can classify with sigmoid, ReLU, and soft plus. So sigmoid function is very important function that you need to learn if you are into healthcare informatics. And this is the most important presentation for all of you, everybody. I would like all of you to please see this for 1 minute. After that, we will start, because I'm feeling thirsty. You can see the shapes that I've taken from almost every convolutional network in the world. See the shapes now, how it is classified. But believe me, we are doing our research on autoencoders. We are doing our research on LSTM. I have published paper by LSTM, RNN also. But we are not very much satisfied. But we are satisfied in this area that is called GAN. I would like to show you one thing important, everybody. If you are interested, if you need the copy of this book, do read this book. We have done a lot of work in this area. If you are really interested for GAN, healthcare imaging, only one book in the world, everybody, that is belonging to me. You can just use this book, everybody. If you want this book, I can give you this book. This is with Elsevier, Generative Adversarial Network to Image Translation. Very nice book. And you can find everything from GAN to Markov models, RCNN, practical things. Everything is covered in this book. This is one of my best projects that we have done in Elsevier. And soon we are coming up with another project with the CNNs and neural network architectures for healthcare informatics with River Publishers. Very soon we are coming up. So this is a traditional machine learning, everybody, where we just give the input. We have the feature extractor, we have the training classifier, and we have the output. But now, everybody, we are actually moving towards hierarchical learned representation, where we have the low features, trainable classifiers, and we can have better image quality and of course better results, and of course we can train it well for imaging, and of course these images can be from medical and even from your real time. So this is the featured engineering versus feature learning. You can see vision, speech, NLP, and see this data-driven feature learning, which is again multimodal. That's why I've told you that you can even use multi-purpose learning for that, but still we need to have more assumptions. We need to have better data sets. And of course, for medical data analysis, the things become more complex, very complex, I'm saying you. So this is one of the research that we have taken, which is the clinical defined features versus data-driven features. And you can see our accuracy right now, in which we have done our DILD quantification in chest CTs. Even we are improving this research for pre-detection of COVID-19. And even our one paper is accepted today morning with Smart COVID Shield in Computing Journal, 2.75 impact factor. So this is the visualization of handcraft features versus learning features. And you can see we can classify 6 types of diseases: normal, consolidation, GGO, honeycombing, and reticular opacity. And our research in this area is coming up to 96.4%, especially when we are combining various patterns of COVID-19. Now, everybody, I want to take more research into this area when we can have more genomes and we can study more variations of COVID-19 and see what is the relationship between them. And if we are able to find the relationship, we can find that whether this has stopped or whether we should be ready for more burst. And this is one of the sensors that you can see, everybody, how we can convert our regular ECG to the from the signals to the data. So many people ask me this question. So the only thing is the sensors. So we have even done, this is my sensor. Okay, so this, you just have to put it over here. And after that, you just have to connect this, this chip to the power bank to provide it as a power. And after that, you can get the data immediately. And the data will be also connected to Hyperledger Fabric as a blockchain data. Just see the diagram now, because I wanted to give you more practical insights what we are working. So A, B, C, D, E, how we are taking the mining and how we are taking it to predictive models. That is what we can say, everybody, that what is data driven? Data driven is actually known as how we are putting up the segmentation, extraction, integration, mining, and we are taking up the results to our sigmoid functions and activation functions, and we are comparing our results that how much we are successful in that. So the question is, deep learning for medicine, why it is now? Now see this, everybody, we have big data. We have tons of data lying at the hospitals. We have good computational power like IBM Watson, Amazon EC2. We have even Azure. And the main thing that we need to improve is our algorithms. So we have algorithms, we have computational power, we have big data. And that's the reason we are moving in the medicine. This is the best presentation I can give you that you can understand visually that how we can improve the deep learning for medicine. So AI medicine in tech keynotes, you can see Facebook, NVIDIA, and Google I/O. And even we know this is the most important Google keynote by Sundar Pichai when he did his research that how his deep learning will be available for diabetic retinopathy. I will be showing you one of my book. Let me show you. Yeah. So everybody, what I'm going to show you is the first and the only one of its kind. And I don't write the same books that people write on CRC Press on Elsevier or Springer like that. I use different intelligence. Now, what I'm going to show you, everybody, it's the first book in the world and only book in the world that is actually using swarm intelligence and evolutionary algorithms in healthcare. Only one book, and even in drug development also. If you want to have this book also, I can give you the PDF. It is with CRC Press. And more than 1,800 copies are sold, more than 1,800 in the world. So this is AlphaGo in medicine, where you can see your data live from AKI, and even you can make API right now. Even in Apple Watch, we are doing a lot of work. Even we are doing lots of things in terms of Android Wear. And our app is soon coming with Huawei GT2 watch, which I use right now, apart from Apple Watch. Okay. So this is the AI in healthcare, everybody. You can see lots of startups, and in terms of risk analysis, research, mental health, everything is working in a better manner. So now let me come towards now. Yeah. So everybody, why I was taking for the word IBM Watson. Now this is the answer, everybody, because if you really want to make an expert system, IBM Watson can give you the better platform, and even the language and the programming system is based on Python. So you can see, everybody, that we have the lots of search, and the most important thing is you don't have to import the data set. You just have to give the links of the data set, and it makes the data set as a combined one data set. And after that, you can put your models and algorithms, and you can make your own questionnaires and other things like that. Everything is automated. If you are interested, I can give you some connections of my people in IBM. They are very helpful people, and you can connect with them. So this is one of the expert system example that you can see as a screenshot that I have taken, that how expert system with perception can be taken. So even a 36-year hypertension can be performed, and a 62-year-old has a diabetic mammography, which can be performed easily. Now what we are doing the brain mapping. So even everybody, what my dream is. When you sleep, you take some good you take some good sleep, you snore and other things, you go for good dreams. We want to capture those dreams, that what was the body ratios, what was the secretion and serum in your body, and how much you were happy and how much you were sad, so that we can work more on the dreams of the patient and see what is the body health status for that. We can do that. It's easy, but just we need to have more data sets for that. So these are the common challenges that you can see right now. I will be just taking 5 more minutes and I will wind up. So data collection, most important area. How many images do we need? What if we don't have enough data? And what if we don't have enough annotations? Labeling will be the most important. And what kind of model selection we need to do, and what will be the results? Results again in numbers. That's why I'm telling you that you need to add more data sets. You need to go for trial and error. You need to go for trial and testing. And of course, for results, you need to can only depend on explainable AI. That's the main answer. So this is one of the area that you can see. That how, if we are doing some research on brain, neck, shoulder, how much data sets that we need to perform. And this is one of the area that we are doing. Even our paper has been published for fundus image classification, and even for breast cancer. You can just go to my Google Scholar and see that. And yeah, so this is one of the area that we are doing our research on dermatologist level classification of skin cancer. Even you can see, everybody, that I'm having less hair in the front. Even I'm working with some dermatologists, that how we can classify the health of the hair, and we can find that whether the hair loss has stopped or whether we need to be prepared for more hair loss. So we have this type of data sets, and we are working together, and our model is right now working on 64.6% accuracy. Yeah, so this is what I would like to say in front of you, everybody, today for neural imaging, AI in healthcare, and regarding its challenges and other things. So I hope all of you have enjoyed the lecture. So regarding your publications, everybody, so you don't have to go for any rocket science or other things. You just have to go to Google. Let me show you. So you just have to go to Google and just type my name, Anand Nair. And over here, you can see my scholar, you can see everything. And you can see my citations are above 4,500 and with H-index of 36. If you go to Google Scholar, everybody, I give you a short note right now. Just go to Scholar and just type healthcare. And you can just type my name, everybody. My name, Anand Nair, and you can see my research that is published on healthcare. So it's an endless research. More than 67 research papers and more than 28 ISI papers. Right now, I'm having more than 100 SCA publications in my career. Okay, sure. I will be sharing you. So now the house is open for questions for next 10 minutes. Coordinator, sir, excuse me.
Yes, sir, please, sir. Yes.
So you for the questions, and after that we can wind up in 5-10 minutes if we have. If we have time, sir.
Participants, you can unmute now, and if you have any doubts, please ask with our resource person.
You can even interact with me, no problems. I will give you my mobile number and my email address at the end of the session. Yeah, sure. I will be giving you. Don't worry.
Good afternoon, sir. As you said, sir, we are using the live data set, then we can make a best model. So if we are working on the Alzheimer, so MCI is the enhanced disease of the, MCI enhanced disease is the Alzheimer, sir. So if we are using a data set for the MCI, sir, can we use that same data set for the Alzheimer? Or we can say that like updating
then you have to add some more assumptions that what are the pre-symptoms and post-symptoms. You have to add more but then you have to improve your clinical decision support system.
Yes, sir. That is used for the Alzheimer. Now we have to enhance our model, not
Yes.
the data set. We don't need to require any change in the data set, sir.
If the model is okay, then it is okay. No problems. Yeah, you can get the publication.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. So now everybody, if I would like to share one important thing with all of you. Many people ask me this question that, sir, we have some healthcare papers and what are the best journals that we need to go? So if you ask me, number one journal in the world is this one, Journal of Biomedical and Health Informatics. I'm having 2 publications in here. So this is the most important journal that you must see and over there. And second journal, which I would like to tell you is this one, Applied Intelligence. Very important journal from Springer with almost 2 impact factor. Very good area that you can do your research. And if you talk of Elsevier, then you can say computers and healthcare. Computers and healthcare. This is one of the best journal that you can see. Okay, so if you want to target your publication, target on these 3 top journals which are actually available and doing good work in that. And even the publication time and the review process time is between 6 to 8 weeks. So you can get your results in 2 months and post your publications in regular issue. Very important for you. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. KM. Actually, we are doing our research here in healthcare informatics, and I have a lab of IoT and intelligence systems. If you are interested to visit my lab next year, you are most welcome. We do our research on blockchain also, and IoT and intelligence systems. We do derivations of technologies. We design our systems. We do patents. Lots of things we do here. Okay. Any other question?
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, it is regarding NLP, sir. Sir, whether we can customize the data set, sir, whether we can customize the NLP data set that to deliver the results only that consist of medical terms. Is it possible, sir?
Madam, actually, NLP, I don't do research except in chatbots and RPAs. But yes, actually, I'm not sure, but I have a good connection with the person who is working with NLP. You can give me the question via email.
Okay.
Give me the question.
Okay.
We discuss the question with my friend, and I will get back to you with the answer in 2 days.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
The question, because NLP, madam, it's an area actually we don't do much research here.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Neither we don't have any good connections, but we have some connections in ACM journals, but we are not interested for NLP right now.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You can give me the email, but I will help you for the answer. No problem.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
The only answer is why we are using LSTM is that because we don't have to make much assumptions. And if you are talking of additive based research, when we go for multifunctionality and we need some more recurrence recovery, then only LSTM can be better. Otherwise, by LSTM is also very good. And LSTM make less assumptions as compared to other techniques.
Sir,
So-
one more question, sir.
Just a second, ma'am. I would like to give you
Okay.
one information to all of you. Just one information to all of you. Okay. So many people ask me this question that, sir, if we want to do research on COVID-19, where we can do our research. So this is the area, everybody. Please open the website. I can just give you in the chat box also. Just wait. So if you want to do your research on COVID-19 data sets, this is the best data sets that you can perform. These are all live data sets. And even I'm happy to inform you the latest variant of COVID-19, that is the Omicron. Even this data set is even updated with that also. So that's the best area. And even this data set is also having the live data visualizations that you can see on the screen right now. So where we are doing our research from Johns Hopkins University. Even you can see some of my research papers. Just go to that same, that is healthcare over there. And if you just type this one, you can even download all the papers from my ResearchGate. You can follow me on ResearchGate. So just type COVID and my name. You can see one of my papers is one of the strongest journals in the world, Sustainable City and Society. And do please read this chapter, everybody, drone-based distancing. And this is the latest area that we have done, that is perceptions and discovery on coronavirus 19 data set. Very good area. And we have also done one more. Yes, this one, geotagging Twitter data using semantic analysis using COVID-19. So you can see my things also. And I'm happy to inform you that this is the world's second book in the world, which is the most biggest book that is also launched by me, Emerging Technologies for Battling COVID-19. And soon, maybe by the end of next month or maybe mid of next month, you can see this book is coming, everybody. This is also a very good book if you are researching on healthcare informatics, machine learning for critical Internet of medical things. So if you want any of the book, you can email me and I will provide you that PDF copy as soon as possible. Yes, ma'am, please continue with the question. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry, it's okay, sir. Sir, actually, we have submitted a paper, sir, regarding just to enhance the accuracy of the prediction using some optimization techniques, sir. And we have incorporated some YOLO models also, sir. Yes, sir.
YOLO version 2.
Sir, YOLO V3, sir.
V3. Okay, go ahead.
Sir, the novelty we have carried out in this paper is the optimization technique, sir.
Okay.
But the paper got rejected. We have got some comments like that. The YOLO is already an existing one, so there is no novelty in this technique. Actually, what we have proposed is we have proposed some optimization techniques, but we got a comment like this, sir.
Madam, I'm not going to. I'm going to give you a generalized statement. Madam, believe me, we have even submitted a paper in IEEE Access with the optimization, with the word called optimization, not intelligence. Whenever you put the word optimization, whole of the people will raise the red flag on you that, okay, there is something fishy in that, because optimization means that you have not done much work. So it is better that you play the word with intelligence. You know what happened to us of our paper. In IEEE Access, I'm giving you the name of the journal also. We submitted our paper with optimization in IEEE Access. We all know that IEEE Access give the reviews in 2 reviewers. But we got our comments from 8 reviewers. So it is better to remove the word optimization. Or you can send me the paper. You send me the paper, I will check the paper and I can help you with the thing. But it is better if you can go for this journal. If suppose this journal will also take your paper. This is called Computing Journal. You can look over here. It is a good journal. Or otherwise, if your paper is good, you can even try for this one. That is called one more journal is here. Yeah, you can try your luck in this one. Soft Computing Journal. You can even try your luck. These 2 journals also take this type of paper, so you can do. But I will not recommend you multimedia tools and applications. So because they're very slow, so don't publish your paper in that. But there is also one more journal. You can update some of the abstract if you can do. That is called Multimedia Systems in Springer. Very good journal. You can even submit your paper in this. These 3 journals will take your paper in an open arm. No problems.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Then fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, one more thing, sir. Sir, if there is a comment we have received, like there is a no novelty in this paper, in what aspect we can show a novelty, sir?
Novelty in the paper means that your literature is outdated, so update your literature. So maybe, madam, I would like to request the coordinator, sir, that they can have one more webinar from my side, that how to write a research paper. Okay, you can have that. No problem. Even I do lots of webinars with regard to how to write a research paper, how to write a transaction paper, or other things. You can do that. So if the novelty problem is there, madam, so you can do one thing. You can improve your literature view. You can add the algorithm and even the flowchart of your research. And secondly, madam, you need to find out that what are the other papers that have actually used same lines of research. Then use that paper to compare your results. Then only you can define the novelty.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have incorporated a new algorithm only, sir. It is not written anywhere.
I'm saying you new algorithm is what? How can I say that this is the new algorithm if we have not the
Oh,
confidence?
okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So please understand, novel
Okay.
algorithm, is okay, but you just try to don't compare with the standard things. Try to compare like
Okay.
I have done a work and my algorithm is called A12. Okay, you just try to compare with A12, then B12, then C12, like all these type of things.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
And only you define the maybe your novelty is not a problem. Maybe your presentation would be a problem. So you can send me the
Yes.
paper. I can tell you the results. What is to be done?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Madam,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
madam, you can see my problems. I do a review of lots of papers. Even I am having more than 125 SCA publications. I can check the paper in 5 seconds that whether the paper can go ahead or not. I
Okay,
can
sir. Okay.
for collaboration, but we select only few of the papers that we can collaborate. Otherwise, we have our own research, which is actually more high-end research over there.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I think, madam, there are no more questions from the audience. So now I would like to share the details with all of you. So first of all, everybody, if you are on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram by searching me. After that, there is my email address. This is my Gmail address. And this is my official email address. This is my website. You can search me on Google. And if you want to go to YouTube, you can even subscribe to my YouTube channel. More healthcare informatics videos will be there. And even my lectures are also there for research. You can find. And if you are interested for for more collaborations, you can email me. Okay, I'm looking for good people to collaborate some research and write some publications. And if anybody needs my books, like this book which I've shown you, Swarm Intelligence in Healthcare, GAN book with Elsevier, you are most welcome to give me a request. I will send you the e-copies, and you can follow me on ResearchGate. You can follow my all patents, my publications, my copyrights, my projects. You can follow me there. So you can follow me. Okay. So I hope this makes everything clear, and I hope all of you have enjoyed. Thank you so much for inviting. Thank you so much. And we see you in the next webinar if I get the chance with the institution for the next occasion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out of your busy schedule and join us today, sir. That was an outstanding session. Great presentation, sir, with a lot of specific and helpful information. Thank you once again. And thank you, sir, for enlightening us, for being an ideal example of inspiration and motivation for all of us. It will definitely help us in future. Thank you so much, sir.